Hello, 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 and welcome to the Money Honey, the show that brings you women in the financial services industry and in property. I'm insanely passionate about this subject because I was once a new entrant into not only property, because I started in construction as well, but in financial services. And boy, did I feel lost. I didn't know what to do. I didn't have a network, I didn't have a support around me. So I was really new, really fresh into the industry, and I needed people around me to lift me up. And this woman was one of the first women that I got introduced to by sheer luck, because my boss at the time, who I was working with, was very good friends with the lovely Maeve Ward. And what a powerhouse he introduced me to in my first month of being in the industry. It was a little bit scary, I have to say, because I kind of looked up to this woman so much that I thought, how am I going to build a serious career, a meaningful career in this industry? How does she do it? How am I going to do it? So she ended up becoming an incredible, I don't know if she knows this, but to me, an amazing mentor, just from the sidelines, just by watching her, or just even having a friendly face in the crowd to just relate to, or just to say hello to when I was lost. So I'll be bringing you Maeve Ward on the show from Central Trust, and I just can't wait to hear from her. So let's do this. There she
Hello.
is. Hi, Maeve.
Hi, what an introduction. I don't know what to say to that, Rosalia. Didn't have my tissues to hand, but thank you very much. Thank you.
It's all true. And honestly, it's just such an honor. I know we don't physically work together and we're not ever in the same project, really. We were a long time ago when I was submitting cases to where you were working before. I'm not sure if we can mention it, but yeah, no, I do remember that. But since then, it's just felt like, yeah, someone in the crowd is cheering me on and is smiling, and I really value that.
Oh, thank you. I'll always be your biggest leader, but look, all of your success and everything you've had to date is all of your own hard work, hun. Don't you ever forget that. You've done amazing, absolutely amazing. So I thought I'd better get that out there straight away so you know that. You have done amazing, because I remember our phone call when you were thinking about going solo. And I remember the doubts that you had. And I remember that conversation very well. And just look at what you've manifested.
Yeah, I know.
You should be incredibly proud of yourself. Incredibly
Thank
proud.
you. Oh, honestly, yeah, you were one of the, I think I called three people. So you were one of three that I called. And I just remember thinking, right, the company I was leaving, you knew the background I'd had, and you knew what kind of industry I'd be launching myself into. And I was just so incredibly scared that I wouldn't be taken seriously, or that people would just think like, what is this BDM up to? Like, what does she think she can do? And then I was afraid, I was afraid of failing, but failing publicly to so many people, that even like having that conversation with you saying, oh, you can do this. I felt like I couldn't let you down, because it'd be embarrassing. It's like, do you know what I mean? It was like, I can't just tell all these people that I'm going to do it and then not do it. So you were just such a big help in just making me like believe in myself and just go out there and do it. You know, just a chat, just a phone call was just so worth it.
Well, I'm glad that you did it, because it makes me smile. I mean, you are everywhere, literally everywhere.
I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but
it is a good thing. It is a good thing. It's very, very positive. But it's really nice to see that you didn't give up on your dream. You absolutely went and done it. You took all of those self-doubts and turned them into massive positives, and you've made a successful business. So well done, you.
Thank you. Thank you. But today is not about me. It's about you, because I want to highlight what women can do for each other in this industry. That's why I invited you as a personal friend to say, this is how, as a female, as a woman, I grew in the industry by having such phenomenal friends in the sidelines, in the crowd, just being there for me. But actually, what about you? Like, how do you feel supported? How are you, do you feel that there are other women championing each other? Is that a thing of the industry? Do you feel that?
I do now, I won't lie, sort of back in the day, I don't think that it was as prominent as perhaps it is in today's industry. And I think that the financial industry, the service sector has absolutely moved on in leaps and bounds. And I do feel that you've got one female and blokes as well. You'd probably agree with this. In the specialist market in particular, it is very close-knit. It really is close-knit. And there is always somebody that you can turn to. And I think social media and social media platforms have really helped with that over the recent years. Certainly, there are people that I would reach out to that I've never met, but I feel like I know them. That's the strange thing. It's like you don't feel like you can't reach a person because you've never met them. You absolutely feel like you're really close friends because of the social media platform and the engagement that allows you to have. So I do feel that now more than ever, women in particular feel more supported than they ever have done.
Yes, yeah. I mean, we just jumped straight into it, but actually, we needed a little intro. I'm assuming that everyone watching this knows you, because if they don't, I don't know where they've been. But give us a little intro. Actually, tell us where are you at the moment? Because I know I've seen you strategically move around in a few places.
Yes.
So where are you now, and what are you doing?
Right, so I sit across two businesses. So I sit across Central Trust Limited, which is the regulated arm of the Norfolk Capital Group, which is the parent company. So that's all things first and second charge regulated mortgage contracts, first and second charge consumer buy-to-lets, family lets and let-to-buys. And then I also sit across the sister business, which is independent in its own right, but part of the Norfolk Capital Group as well. And that's all things unregulated. So first and second charge bridging, first and second charge buy-to-let term mortgages and homeowner business loans. So my official title is Commercial Director of Operations, and my day would consist of various things, quite broadly spanned because I sit across two independent businesses, but particularly looking after distribution, product, pricing and operations.
Wow, that sounds intense.
It is, but every day is a learning day, and I love it because I get to wear two different hats for two distinct markets. So no 2 days are the same, and no day is ever boring because it's I might be helping one person with a regulated mortgage contract, and then I might be helping somebody with a short-term bridging inquiry. And my role really, and everybody's role in the specialist market, I would say, Rosalia, is about finding alternative lending solutions. And so it's an interesting market to get into, but I love the diversity of my role now because I'm not in one particular sector, I'm sitting across two.
Amazing. And, you are one of the rare and few women that I know that are very senior and in leadership in this industry. And I interviewed a couple today actually as well. So you'll see those episodes come out. So there's not that many, and actually that person themselves also said that there's still inequality on board level, and you're at that level. How do you find it where you are?
To be honest, they're very good. So, I'm not the only female that sits on the board. There's actually three people, or two that officially sit on the board, and then obviously we have got a non-exec director. She's also female. So they're quite diverse, and they absolutely embrace it. So I'm very fortunate. And again, that's across both businesses. So I sit on the board for both. So I'm very, very lucky. I do think, again, that the market has moved on, and I do think that businesses are taking that very seriously. They are trying to ensure that more women are sitting in more senior positions and also at the board. So I do think it's not quite where it needs to be, do not get me wrong, but it's definitely come very, very far from where it once was.
Absolutely. That's exactly what I keep hearing every day. I mean, I'm not on the board of any major corporation in financial services, but I'm hearing that positivity come through, saying we are looking to diversify. But, no one's going to be picked just by sitting in the shadows or in the corner of a room, right? You need to, right. No. So what would you say to someone, a female in the industry that is trying to find their voice, is trying to break into the industry? How did you do it? How did you build yourself a brand to where you are today?
I think, to be honest, the biggest advice that I could give to anybody is really know your subject matter. That's really, really key, is to really understand the products that you are selling, you know, the business, what your business stands for, the brand you are representing, because you only get one chance, and this is so true, to make a good impression. And certainly in the intermediated market, the best relationships are the ones that are born out of the fact that they're having a conversation with somebody that truly knows what they're talking about and can actually stand with conviction in what they're actually saying. So always know your subject matter, always return your phone calls, always be honest, and always act with integrity, even when nobody else is looking. Always act with integrity.
That is
Absolutely.
a good one.
You know, not just when people are watching, when nobody's watching as well. And that's a big one. And people buy people, you know, people buy people. It doesn't mean that they would sell your product over someone else's, but it does go a long way. It really does go a long way. So it's really about promoting yourself. Network as much as you can. Attend as many events as you possibly can, but always deliver on your promises. Even if you said to somebody, I will call you back, and you don't have an answer, just call them back and tell them that you don't have an answer, because they will remember the fact that you did call them back when you said you would. And that is such a small thing, but actually that's something that is really important, because you're going to work with these people for years and years. And if you want to stand out, you want to be known for the person that when you ask a question, you're going to get an answer, but it's actually going to be the right answer.
Yes. Yeah, I certainly had to experience that through my BDM days. As you know, when I was a
Yeah.
BDM, that was the main job, was just communication. Like I wasn't
Yes.
underwriting the case. I wasn't packaging
Yeah.
it. I wasn't talking to the client. I didn't have the money in my pocket to give to you. So as much as you chased me for that bridging loan, it wasn't going to come from me. Definitely not. But I just had to be there to communicate to people and to be that sounding board. And actually, most of the time, the frustrations were not with me. Like the broker wasn't
Yeah.
frustrated with me. It was the situation that they might be frustrated with, but I'm the one that they can talk to. So
Yes.
yeah, that phone call just meant so much to people, even when I was just like, do you know what? I haven't got hold of that person, or I don't know
Yeah.
what to say. And yeah, that was really, really important.
Yeah. And also surround yourself with really good people. Nobody becomes successful overnight by themselves. And anyone that says that it's all about them, well, that's questionable anyway. It's surround yourself with really good people that through good leadership, they come through with you and they overtake you. You want your people to overtake you. You want them to be successful. You want them to move on, because ultimately that just shows, and people will recognize, oh, that person worked for Rosalia, or that person worked for Maeve, or that person worked for whoever. And it's because that person has got similar values as yourself. It's got similar ways of working. It's got similar ways of communicating, and that becomes your brand. That becomes your brand as well. So never be afraid to employ people when you sit in an interview and you go, that person's amazing. That person is going to go far. That person can add so much to me, because that's what you got. That's what makes a successful team, and that's what enables you to move on as well.
1000%. I totally see where you're coming from with that, because I actually will always be grateful to a comment that my old boss's boss made. So where I was at Together Money, I'm so forever grateful. I always mention them because it was, you know, one of the best jobs I've ever had working there. I know what happened, but it had to, because of like the market we were in and the conditions. But you know, my boss left and my boss's boss left, and you know, everyone left. So it wasn't like I was the only one who left. But the point was, before we even had a glimmer of COVID, we didn't know what COVID was at this time. We were having internal meetings up in Manchester. And Richard Tuggers, if you're listening, hello, just in case he is, he said to me, because I was using social media back then, and I was just using it, you know, I wasn't even using it with that much professionalism. Like I wasn't doing it the way I am now, but I was just like, I know what I'm doing. I'll just do some. And he brought me into a session when we were up in Manchester and asked me to do a training on it, and said, look, can you just share with the other BDMs what you need to do on social media? And I was like, yeah, sure. And he said, no, I like this, Roz. He goes, you're building a personal brand.
Yeah.
And I was like, what? what is he talking
Yeah.
about? I'm a BDM at Together. I'm like, I'm not doing anything else whatsoever. But he clearly, being the visionary that he is, and he is where he is because of what he knows. I now see what he meant. Like being surrounded by these people, not doing being myself, whether I was in a job or in a business, I was acting with integrity. I was doing me. I was being my own brand.
Yeah.
And I know you went on to, obviously you've started your own, I don't know, are you doing this under your business? Is this your consultancy? Not
No,
anymore. No.
no.
Okay. So
So
yeah.
when I left, you
Yeah.
are right. I did a bit of consultancy, and I obviously did some consultancy with Together, which,
Yes.
like you, was a very fond memory. I absolutely loved doing it, and I have the utmost respect for that business. As you know, I then set up my own bridging business, which was
That
obviously
I
specialist
missed
lending.
that
But
for a little bit.
unfortunately, yeah, I lost my through COVID, unfortunately, which meant that I had to wind that business down. But in between that, one door closes, another door opens, is when I obviously started my journey with Central Trust and Mercantile Trust.
That's amazing. You see, so this is going back to your brand. I remember you from your Shawbrook days. That's how we met. Then you left there, started the business, and we've come to find each other again in some way,
We
shape,
have.
or form. But you have been authentic, and I know that word is thrown around a lot, but you have just been consistent, like in everything that you do. And I think that's something that if people have only just met you now, or they knew you from before, or what would you say to someone who's trying to break? I know you've given lots of great advice, but how would
Yeah.
you, how or where in the industry would someone thrive? Like where's the next best place to kind of begin a career? Is it on the lending side? Is it on the broker side? Like how would someone coming into financial services, what kind of path should they take?
Oh God, that's a good and difficult question.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
really
firstly,
difficult.
anyone looking to get into the specialist market, it's a great market to get into, just because it is so fast paced. It's forever changing. Regulation is forever changing, which means everything then changes again. So the pace is incredibly quick. Whether you come into sort of broking or lending, I think there's pros and cons to both, and actually probably the most rounded people are the ones that have worked in both. So I would say try both and
Yes.
then make a decision, because your heart will ultimately lay one way or the other. So I would say there are opportunities out there right now to come into the lending side and into the broking side. But I would say if the opportunity presents itself to actually work in both, you should absolutely take that and then make a decision once you've done that as to where your heart lies. And a lot of people ask me that. It's like, would you ever do broking, Maeve? And I just wouldn't, because my heart has always been in lending. I just love the lending side, and I love being able to make a difference to intermediaries. And ultimately, if you work on the broking side, you're doing the same thing. You're providing an outcome to either a customer or to a broker that's introduced business to you. But for me, my passion has always been in the lending side than it has on the brokering. So I'd say if you're not sure, try both and then make a decision. But absolutely, come in. If you're looking for something that's fast-paced, if you are looking to build yourself a brand, if you are phenomenal with people, if you want to make a difference, then absolutely the specialist market is for you.
Yeah, I certainly loved it. It was an accident coming into specialist lending. And it's not like other
Same.
people that I had a banking background. Like it's not like I was at a high street lender and then I came into specialist lending. It was literally
Yeah.
like completely different sector, came into specialist lending. My first kind of product suite was second charges, which you did so much training on. About, like you're the one that taught me how to do second charges basically. And then I went into bridging and development and commercial. Like that was the fast-paced life that I loved. But exactly
Yeah.
like you, I wouldn't do the broking side. Even though I worked for a packager and I did do broken, but it was still B2B.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I'm a B2C person as well, because especially with like what is going on in the industry, the rates, the budgeting and all of
Yeah.
that kind of stuff, dealing with customers, vulnerable customers, perhaps that I don't know if don't know. I just don't know if I'm a B2C person. I think I'm more B2B. I think. Anyway, that's just me personally. So there's a space for everybody is what we're trying to say. There's
There
B2C,
is.
there's B2B, there's lending, there's broker, there's compliance. Hey, you might be like a very analytical and very down to detail person, and so compliance might be for you, I'm not sure. But I would like to know, as my final question is, you said about surrounding yourself with supportive people, and obviously I've mentioned how much of that you are for me. Who is that for you?
Do you know what? It's a good question. So I have my team. My team is a massive support for me, but also my intermediaries. So throughout all of my career, because I've stayed in the specialist sector, I have got to work with phenomenal people that are still here and have come on that journey with me, and they have been an absolute support and continue to be a support for me, because having gone from sort of running my own business, I was out potentially of the sort of wider second charge market for quite some time when I left obviously Shawbrook Bank. So coming back in, you know, I'm only human as well. I was incredibly nervous. You know, I did have self-doubts like everybody else does. But what I realised through the help of this close network is that the market hadn't actually moved on a lot since I'd left it, ironically. So I kind of feel that I've done a full circle, and I'm back now doing that whole thought leadership, education and awareness for a product that is so dear to my heart, that isn't writing as much as it should, but is writing significantly more from when I left. But there is so much more that can be done in that space, and there are so many intermediaries that just don't have it in their toolkit right now. So for me, through my distribution channel, I'm trying to sort of pick up where I left off, actually, in trying to get people to buy into second charges, put it into their toolkit, because right now in the specialist sector, through the pandemic, through the cost of living crisis, with rising fuel and inflation, for me, I think we're just going to see a complete sea change, and I think people are going to need the specialist market more than they ever have. So my support network, just to sort of clarify, is my team, my phenomenal team, which helped me be the person that I am, the brokers who continue to support me, but probably the one that I owe most credit to isn't here anymore, which was David Johnson, who sadly passed away several years ago now. But I owe so much to that man for believing in me, and he really did teach me everything that I know.
Oh, that's
it's so true. It's so true. And you know, it lives on. His legacy lives on today through so many people. And I know anyone that's watching that, you know, happened to have David in their life will echo what I said. He was absolutely phenomenal, and a lot of people owe him credit. But for me personally, I guess he took a punt on me, Rosalia, if I'm being completely honest. He took a punt. He saw something that perhaps others didn't see. I worked hard for him, and he rewarded me. And, you know, I owe my career to him.
Yes, you absolutely. I think I feel the same as you, where my boss, my ex-boss, my boss's boss, and all the previous bosses in this industry, they definitely took a punt on me, because my first job in broking, well, I actually said in the interview, you know, this is Tommy, right? You know, Tommy, right? I actually said in the interview to him, I was like, I don't know what a loan to value is. I was in my early 20s. I was like, I don't know why you want to give me this job. I don't have a mortgage. I've just come out of university. I've had a couple of jobs, but I really don't understand like mortgages, let alone like bridging. And he was like, when can you start? And he was so passionate as well to teach me, and he knew he could connect me to people like you and lots of other people that would just teach me the way. And I just thought, right, you know, I've got to do it. So that was definitely something I relate to, someone taking a punt on you. But then, like you said to me, you know, this is all you. You know, you took that opportunity, you took that kind of seed, and you grew it. You made it flourish. Like, you've done this, and you still continue to do that. I think the biggest thing that stood out to me in this interview is that, you know, you've been through so many changes in the industry. You've come in, you've come out, you've started your own thing, you've dropped that, and it just goes to show that there is so much space, not just for women. I don't want to just talk about women. It's just space for anybody. You know, lots of people have either done the broking, or they've done the lending, or they've started their own business, didn't quite work out, came back in as an employed broker, then went to a network. You know, there's just so much to offer in this industry. There's so much flavor with it. And I really love that. Even people like me, I'm not a broker, I'm not a lender, I'm not a network, but I'm a sideline service that I feel so welcome and so very much in the industry that, yeah, you can even create a sideline business, right? And just still
Absolutely.
serve the industry. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So, um, what if people wanted to follow more of your journey and wanted to connect with
Yeah.
you? And because a lot of people listening to this, Maeve, will be the intermediary market. There'll be a lot of brokers,
Okay.
a lot of IFAs, but
Yeah.
mostly mortgage advisors. What do you want to say to them, and where should they come and find you if they need to bring second charges into their business
Yeah.
and they want to learn more? What would you say?
Absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn, so reach out to me via LinkedIn. I'll come back to you straight away. So I'll drop you a note if I'm in a meeting, which basically means I can't come back to you at that minute in time, but I will come back to you. And if you want to learn more, absolutely, I can come and see you. I've got BDMs that are out in the field. We can have a Zoom call. We can make it work. The main thing is, if you want to learn more, don't be afraid to reach out to me, pick up the phone or get in touch with me via LinkedIn. And if you can't hunt me down, go to Rosalia, because she's got my personal number as well. So she'll be able to get you to me. But yeah, absolutely. The door is open for anyone that wants to learn more about the second charge mortgage industry. And equally, you know, if you're not in the bridging market as well, then please pick up the phone and have a conversation, or reach out on LinkedIn again to contact me with regards to that product, because that's something else. The more products you've got in your toolkit right now, the more outcomes customers will have. So again, never be afraid to learn. Every day is a learning day.
Absolutely, guys. I'm a very, very big fan of second charges because I built my first 2 years in the industry I built my whole career on second charges, because you're quite right. So many brokers didn't have this in their toolkit. And what I often found, if you're a broker listening to this, the biggest thing was when a broker would say, "Oh, I've got a customer. I did their mortgage 5 years ago, but they've since come back to me, and I've got to do their remortgage, but they've got a second charge on their property." And the first question I would ask was, "Oh, did you do the second charge for them?" And they were like, No, another broker did." I was like, wow, you not only have you lost that earning potential from that second charge, but
Yeah,
that customer went elsewhere to
absolutely.
source a product, and now you're going to do their remortgage. And it's just, so you need second charges, because if you're not the one offering it, the client will find it elsewhere, and you're going to
Yeah,
lose potentially that remortgage, that product transfer, their referrals. So I'm a big fan of that product. So if you need more support with that help, obviously I can put you in touch with Maeve, or Maeve has kindly given out her details. I will only post your socials, Maeve, in the
sure. No worries.
show
Yep.
notes, so people can
Mm-hmm.
find you. But thank you so much again for being a guest of
Oh,
mine and a friend. Thank you.
thank you for having me, and any time. You keep nailing it, okay?
Thank you.